Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, introduce the guest, man.
We have former Cage Warriors champion, the Housewives' choice, Mr. Chris Fields. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good, lad. We finally got it done. It's been a while coming, but here we are, huh?
Cheers to that.
We've been absolutely pestering the whole Team KF management to get Chris Fields on. You know what I mean? Too many appointments off at coaching world champions, future world champions. You know what I mean? What can you say?
You're always giving the team plenty of props, though, so I kind of owe you one, so I'll be nice as pie today.
Nice.
Well, in fairness, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's what we say. And, you know what I mean? We don't give props out for nothing. You know what I mean? You're doing a fantastic job there. And, you know what I mean? It's nice to recognize the talent that you have.
Appreciate that. And we're working hard.
Yeah, Chris. Well, on today's show, we are going to be getting into everything from UFC 257, Dustin Poirier's win over Conor McGregor. We're also going to be discussing some of the fights on the event. Also, we're going to be discussing some Irish MMA as well, because Cage Legacy is coming back, Clan Wars is coming back for a double header as well, and we're also going to be discussing Team KF and the rise of Team KF, Chris. So thanks a lot for coming on the show. If you are new to the show, make sure to like and subscribe. But we have to start at the very, very top, Chris, right? Where did you get the nickname, the Housewives' Choice?
It was given to me during an interview once. Someone just, like, as they were interviewing me, said, I'm here with the Housewives' Choice, Chris Field. I think there's a couple of lads off Severe MMA. I think someone's mother-in-law or something like that had a little thing for me. So that's kind of where I came from. I do tend to attract the older women. I don't know if that's a curse or a blessing, but yeah, I do attract the older women.
I'll make sure the killing fields, though, didn't it?
Yeah, which is a lot less.
Which is a bit more sinister. Nice, you know? A bit more sinister.
Yeah, it probably. I don't know if it'd even float in today's world. See, the kind of rule on the nickname thing is generally you're given it. So a lot of the new kind of shite is give yourself some cool name. The way it used to be, we're given it. You get called things like Shoeface and Taquino and all this kind of. So I was called. Tom actually called me Chris the Killing Fields to make my life really awkward, because people are going to start questioning on Cambodia and stuff, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, that's where we ended up. Like, but yeah, it was the Killing for years, and then I thought, we were looking for a good change, so the Housewives' Choice was nice.
Yeah, because I actually think last weekend Carlos Condit was called Natural Born Thriller instead of the Natural Born Killer.
Right.
I think like, that sounded a bit sinister, especially now they're on ESPN. Like, I don't think that was going to fly.
What did you think of his performance? Good fight, that.
Yeah, it was a very good fight. Matt Brown, like, he is immortal. You know what I mean? At 40, like, I was very impressed with him as well. But
he had a rough life too, man. Like, to have the life he's had and still be performing at a high level in sports at 40 is genius.
Yeah, 40, yeah.
As you can probably tell by my fighting style, I'm a massive Carlos Condit fan. Yeah. I have done. And then I was looking at your night, and he's fucking younger than me. I was like, what the fuck?
But you know what?
Fighting since he's like 18, though. He's one of those. Like, he's been.
No, he was. He has he's had more UFC fights than I've had hot dinners.
He did like Rumble on the Rock and all in Hawaii back in the day. He's kind of mad. I think he fought Jake Shields and Rumble on the Rock in like fucking 2009 or no, way earlier, actually, probably like 2006 or something like that. Crazy stuff.
He's out of contract with the UFC now, so it'll be interesting to see if he gets re-signed. I sort of that I think UFC will at least probably try and build off the back of his name someone new. We'll probably get a tough row now, or
so you got like that's 2 wins on the bounce. I'd imagine they keep him around, and he's a household name. People tune in to watch Condit fights. He's like Shogun. You'll always watch him fight no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. But Basmo, tell us UFC 257. It was an interesting one. Obviously, we might as well get straight into the main event. What were your initial thoughts? UFC 257, Conor McGregor defeated by Dustin Poirier by knockout in the second round.
To be honest, like, I think we can all agree that we all thought Conor was going to go in and win the fight. Obviously, that didn't go to plan. But like, to really get into it, I'd actually like to hear Chris's opinion on this.
I'd say possibly one of the more surprising things to ever happen in my life, that finish. It's just not how I saw it going at all. I thought Conor was going to win it. Kind of how the fight started to take place towards the end of the first. Conor started to find his range, started to land his shots quite frequently. He was pinging that left hand. In my head, that was around the mark the fight was going to be finished about 4 minutes in, I thought.
Yeah.
You can kind of see Conor come into the fight and start to land then. He was doing quite well. it's like, you know, obviously I've known Conor a very, very long time. I've seen pretty much every fight he's ever had, like even the ones that there is no video on. You know, I've seen like from being there. I've seen like the majority or nearly all his fights live until very recently. Yeah, it was just to see him like that. You know, I suppose it's like seeing like a superhero get knocked down or something. You know, because one thing I've always said about Conor is one of the things that's most underestimated about him is his chin. Like, you never see him really hurt in fights, really hurt. You know, see him get tired, see him do other stuff, but like never really hurt. And that was the first time I've seen him kind of like, you know, Poirier played a beautiful game plan. I was surprised that they weren't prepared for the leg kicks. If I'm being honest, it would have been something I would have thought would have been like something you definitely be working in camp, because it's something he does quite often, especially southpaw and southpaw, because you're coming. It's the same as being orthodox. Orthodox for the leg kick, it's widely available, you know, for the power kick. So I was very surprised that he didn't prepare for that. Conor, I don't watch a lot of post-fight press conferences, but I saw little clips, and he almost seemed surprised at the calf kick. The way he was speaking about it was a bit strange, but yeah.
Can I ask you a few technical questions on it, Chris? Firstly, I don't know if you saw the very first exchange of the fight. It almost looked like Conor got stopped in his tracks. And the ref's like, hold on, we're not starting yet. I thought that maybe impacted him, because I think it looked like, I think Chris has jumped. Oh, you're back there. It looked like you know, Conor's tactic was to come out and almost try and finish him with the first strike. It looks like he was going for Jorge Masvidal's record across the cage. Another thing I want to just touch on is, because that was on at 9 a.m. over in Abu Dhabi, do you think that affected him as well? Because from like, obviously you know Conor way better than we do, but from looking at like all Conor's interview, like dating way back to when he first came on the UFC scene, like he doesn't get out of bed till 12 o'clock, that fella, you know what I mean? So like
12 o'clock at best.
You think the 9 o'clock starts affect him as well? Because he's used to
how long was he in? How long was he over there to adjust to their time zone?
The looks things, I'd say about 10 days out, maybe 2. About that.
And then so like I don't know how much time he had to adapt to their time zone. Maybe a few different changes along the way, because he was here, he was Portugal, then he was over there. Maybe that might have affected him a little bit. I did notice that thing you're talking about at the start. He kind of came sprinting out, and then it got stopped, and it kind of got an awkward start. It was like, oh no, go, no, don't, just go on, there you go, lads. You know? And maybe he had a little plan in his head to get the first shot off, and then that was taken away to gain the center. I just think like you know, if I was thinking of how Dustin was going to approach the fight, it was kind of how it went. You know, he shot the double, tried to get a hold of him early, kind of tried to wear him, and then I thought that's how the fight would go, and then Conor would break, find his range, start to land, and he started to do that, and then like either the calf kicks or the shots didn't have the same effect. I think another thing as well is that like Conor has that like stupid power, and in the first fight he dropped Poirier, but he did it behind the ear. So it wasn't a chin check. It wasn't like to see if Poirier's chin could take it. So it was a very different shot than what's happening here, you know, in a kind of way. So these shots were landing clean on the face, and Poirier was able to take them. He's quite well known for being able to take a bit of abuse, you know.
So Chris, going into the fight week, like so much stuff was happening, like in the build up, like obviously we can nitpick at certain things, but like because we're on the show, people want to hear like what actually exactly happened. Like the stuff with Jake Paul calling him out, causing all that hoopla, especially like involving Conor's fiance. Then like even your man Otman Azatar's someone he knew snuck in and started like looting rooms or something. Yeah, stuff like that. Like obviously the fans coming back. Like how can that stuff not take a toll on Conor? Like after all, he is human after all, as the song goes. But I mean, like, how can that not take a toll on him? You know,
and he had the lawsuit as well.
The lawsuit as well. Sorry, I knew I was forgetting something. The lawsuit midweek as well. It was just there's so much attention on the chap. Like, how can that not get to him? Or do you think that did get to him?
I think I don't know. Like, if you think of Conor, like I think of all the things he's been through, they never had an effect on him. You know, all of a sudden. I just can't see something having that big an effect on him. You know, that kind of way. Like he's dealt with so much over the years. Like think of the Aldo fight, the way he built that up and all. And then I wouldn't say. I think the approach was strange, purposely. So they went with the like kind of a nice guy. You know, didn't try and. I think that, like, you know, I'm going to show everyone I'm a better martial artist and all. Maybe Conor needs the hype on the night. You know, maybe he needs that in him to like to progress. You know, I don't know. Be hard to. Yeah, I don't really know. It's the truth. Like I'll be.
One last thing from a coaching standpoint on the fight. Were you surprised with Conor's stance? It was a bit more upright. It was less of the karate style stance.
Very boxing stance.
Yeah. Were you surprised with that? Do you think that also had a negative?
I think he thought he was going to have a boxing match with Poirier. I think everyone would have thought that he, like Poirier, was going to try for a takedown at least at some point in the fight. So I think the square stance probably wasn't a great idea. The kicks again, I don't really understand how no one was prepared for the kicks. It's something I think I would have, like, that stance leaves you wide open to leg kicks. That's the problem with it, you know. It's a great stance for like landing power punches and kind of being able to defend yourself in tight, but it's not great for being able to defend leg kicks. And so I don't really understand the stance. I know he's working a lot on his boxing. Maybe the boxing took over a little bit. Maybe that's mostly what he was doing in camp, you know. And he'll always revert back to what you know. You know, kind of way he'll always revert back. So, it's difficult to know, like his stance, that elusive stance that made him so kind of famous, his striking style and kind of almost a karate-esque in and out movement, and then being able to, when he found the range, launch those big boxing combos was basically what we all know Conor for and love to watch, you know.
Yeah, you sort of missed that bounce, wasn't it?
He was square and heavy and just walking forward, classic boxing style, you know. So I kind of find, like, you know, his best attribute for years was that, like, he was that elusive kind of in and out striking style, made him very hard to hit. Also made him very hard to time on takedowns, because that stance is notoriously hard to take someone down off. Just because it feels like they come into range and then they're out of range in half a second, you know. And that was the style he's always played his whole career. And I don't know, like, we didn't really get to see what happened in the Cowboy fight, so we didn't really get to see what stance he was playing. You know, he got straight into his zone and he was pressuring Cowboy back. Usually he plays that stance when he's moving around on the outside and he's trying to find the range before he hurts them. So it was interesting to see him kind of boxing that style. He kind of, like, if you watch his fights, he'll always come in and out of that style. You know, he will play that boxing style, but he played it at range, which isn't normal for Conor.
Yeah, it was almost like a foreign Conor McGregor in there. Like, it was the body, it was, you know, the tattoos, it was the head, the face, but there was, I don't know whether you felt the same, but I felt there was a different feeling when he was in the cage first as well. I think, like, it also helped him coming in second. I think, you know, he makes the big show. He was left in there for a while, and I don't know. Yeah. I felt like there was something fishy with the night, even though it was the morning over there.
Do you think, like, I'd feel very wary saying that the occasion got to Conor, because considering how many big nights he's had in his career, how many big things he's done, how many situations he's been in, all that kind of stuff, I just can't see the occasion getting to him. You know, like, what was his preparation like? Was it up to scratch? Maybe he was going in thinking, I haven't done enough here or whatever. But he just, I get the, like, from my knowledge of Conor over the years, I'd say Conor could do a week's training and still be confident going into a fight. He's just one of those guys, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
Chris, even in the build-up, Poirier looked off. He just looked like he was only there to take part, literally, and it just. I couldn't foresee Conor not winning this fight, and for Poirier then to get to win. And bearing in mind, like, Poirier was fighting at that time as well, and he's coming in off a loss against Conor as well. Like, it's hard to really gauge what's going on. You know what I mean? It's just nobody really expected it. It's like, I'm still in my head processing. I can't believe we're sitting here talking that he lost. That's the thing.
Yeah, that'd be exactly how I'm looking at it. I'm kind of going, how are we in a situation where Conor's lost that fight? It looked like it was an easy win from, in my view. Like, it looked like it was a made up fight for him. Like as in, you know, if I was to pick an opponent, this is what I was saying in the lead up to when people were asking me. I was like, if I was to pick an opponent for Conor, it's Poirier. A guy that wants to box in range. It's like the perfect guy. You know what I mean? And he has a win already.
I was ready for, like, all the people being like, oh, sure, he's already beaten him before. That was an easy fight. That was a tune-up fight. The way people were saying, like, oh, who's he fighting next? Like, it was almost, everyone was overlooking Poirier. Do you think, like, that could have got to Conor as well? Because obviously he's sitting in his room. He has his phone there. Like, he's in quarantine. Do you think, like, so many people are overlooking Poirier that maybe he overlooked him as well? Because he's like, maybe a good fight, Khabib, you know?
A win over someone. Like, having a win over an opponent when you're going in to fight them can be can be like a really good thing or a really bad thing. So like the things you're saying there. So you have a win over a guy, you're going in. What have you really got to gain here?
Yeah.
Like, you've already beat the guy, right? And how are you going to do more impressive? What did he do it in the first time? A minute and a half?
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna knock him out the first shot. Like, so now all of a sudden, like if it's a drawn out affair and Conor finished in the third, does it look like you're not as good as you used to be? You know, you've lost a step, or so. Yeah, like, you know, or he could have been going, this was easy last time, I'm going to run through this guy. You know, all these things could have been going in his head. He could have been saying to himself on the way out, Jesus, if I don't beat this guy the same way I did before, I'm going to look like a sham. You know, this kind of thing. So now, like, it's weird because, like, I'm saying that, but my brain is telling me all my knowledge of Conor is he's extremely confident. That's not put on. The guy exudes confidence. You know what I mean? Like, he's extremely confident. I wish I had a quarter of what the guy has when I fight. Like, he's one of the few people, and now Ian is another one just recently, like, that, like, I see isn't really nervous out the back. That's amazing to me. I'm shitting myself before the fight. You know, Conor isn't like that. I am. I go to the toilet about 400 times. You know what I mean? Like,
just to look in the mirror.
Yeah. It's all right.
I hope there's a few housewives out in the crowd for me.
But yeah, they're just a different level altogether. You know what I mean? Like, so kind of, like, it's hard to tell. It's hard to know how
it's baffling. It's baffling, isn't it? It's mystery. Like, I'm lost for words here. Like, I know we sort of all are. I think it'll take a while for the process fully. But, like, the interesting thing is going to, like, the great thing about it was Dustin Poirier getting the win. What he's after doing to his family now, so financially secure for the rest of his life. He's going to now, like, he should potentially now be fighting for the title next. Where do you sort of see this landscape now? Because obviously Michael Chandler had a huge win as well, and then, like, Oliveira is looking to get into that, looking to get that.
Yeah, I think
could possibly go back.
I think it has to be Oliveira. Like, I think like, Charles deserves a shot, and I'm interested to see, maybe even Chandler and Charles, and then someone fight Poirier for the belt out of that, because, like, Chandler could have a quick turnaround now, considering how the fight went. You know, or, like, give Oliveira a shot against Dustin straight away. But I think like, overlooking Oliveira is a bit bad at this stage in the UFC. Like, if they're going to put Chandler in there after one win and Oliveira's on an 8-fight win streak, it doesn't really say a lot for the promotion.
He's almost the new Tony Ferguson. The way I think it sort of maps out is Dustin versus Oliveira for the title, Chandler versus Justin Gaethje, and then McGregor probably versus Diaz 3. I think that's probably the way you go about it.
They're and, like, I kind of said ages ago, I got laughed at a bit, was that they should do a tournament. They basically just did a tournament. I said this right at the start when Khabib said he was out. I was like, let's do a tournament. You know, I was trying to pick what fight should we wear. Delighted with life, loving life. Couldn't wait for it to come out. But I just think Oliveira deserves that shot now. I think give the man his title shot. You know.
Yeah, and do you think McGregor comes back into action against Diaz next, or do you think it's a Poirier rematch, or is it someone left field? Is it Rafael dos Anjos fight next, or where do you see it next?
Yeah, I think he has to kind of go back now and maybe take a little bit of time and figure out what his next move is. You know, what he'd like to do. I'd say it's a difficult position for Conor. He's like, you know, you're talking. Like, just what he's achieved in his career. It's like I think Conor's one of those fighters that it's the what next. That's kind of his outlook. Like, what's next? What do I do next? What do I do next? What's my next achievement? And, like, right now, that doesn't really exist. There's nothing big there unless you're talking about a comeback. You know, coming back again. But, like, he's won the light welterweight belt before. He's won the featherweight belt before. I don't really know, like what excites him. You know, what's going to excite him. You know, I think there could be.
And also, he can't fight again. He can't fight again until UFC 160 or 261, because, like, he can only fight on pay-per-view. So, like, they don't want to put him on another pay-per-view with someone else, because then those other stars or other champions get pay-per-view.
The problem is, like, who do you match him with now? Like, who do you match him with? Like,
I think it's the perfect time for the Diaz trilogy if they're ever going to do a fight.
Yeah, that's a awful fight though, isn't it? Like I mean, for Conor, it's just a drawn out affair, whatever. Like, you know, you could see Conor winning, you could see Diaz winning, but it's filthy. Yeah, whatever way it goes, it's going to be dirty. It's draining on your body. You're going to get damage from it, you know. So I suppose he has to sit back and think what's best for him right now. it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks what he comes back with, you know.
If we're just looking at times that we're in right now, obviously everyone has to like isolate and stuff. So I think that means, therefore, obviously you know better, Chris, but that like Conor is going to be stuck with his team and he's going to have to train. You know what I mean? Like if this was a Mayweather moment where we could all go out on the piss every day of the week, I'm sure he'd be like there'd be less chance of him coming back. But who really knows? But a lot of people were saying like the Stardust is done, that's the end of him now, like, and like writing him off the same way they did previously when he lost to Diaz. But I can't take that seriously. I think some people maybe just lived it in the moment too much, and then once you take a breath and then wake up the next day, you're like, you know what, life goes on, and there's plenty more opportunities there. You know, he can always come back.
Yeah, oh yeah. Look, he's one of those guys. See, the thing is that the reason that he excited people and people want to watch him. If you don't understand fighting, you know what a knockout is. Doesn't matter, and that's what Conor does to people. He sleeps them. That's interesting to everyone. It's interesting to people like me who are like love the tactics of the sport. I still love seeing knockouts, and it's interesting to a guy that's like never looked at a fight in his life. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the beauty of what Conor does, a crossover all those, and that's what brought him like to where he's almost. He's a celebrity and a fighter, you know, because people love that. Whereas you get like a grappling technician who's all about subs. You have to understand the sport to understand how good someone like that is, a Damian Maia and all that kind of stuff, you know. And so I think like people will always tune in to watch Conor fight, always. Like
Chris, let's move on from the biggest superstar the UFC has ever seen to one of your disciples, the future, Ian Garry. Tell us a bit about Ian Garry. He's been on the show like 7 times. I think Ryan Shelley jokes that he's the 3rd member of the podcast. But tell us what are your thoughts on Ian Garry? Because I know he'd be listening, and I know that ego's getting big.
Yeah, you know, like look, you know, like he loves to talk, right? As we all know. I'm sure you just have to stop the podcast. He's probably still talking to a blank screen at home when you're done. But like the thing for me as a coach, like, you know, he's like my little brother. I love the kid, but the thing for me as a coach is that he shows up and he trains, and he trains hard. Never excuses. Always wants the hard rounds. Always wants the hard work. You know what I mean? The kid, like, the success isn't down to him running his mouth. The success is down to his work ethic, and like he's like a thirst for knowledge that I really like. You know, he's always asking questions, always. So, you know, for a kid like that, the sky's the limit. If you can keep that attitude, if you can, you know, work that way, and he like, it's never changed since I've met him. You know. And the lip was there too, like that running his mouth all the time was there at the very start. You know, the first day I met the kid, he was there to me. Oh, we rolled, and afterwards he said to me, "I'll be tapping you in 6 months or something." I was like, "He won't."
And tell us this: come March, is there a title shot on the line?
Yeah, he just, you know, like my kind of outlook at the moment is, you know, this next fight he has coming up in March, I think maybe one more then, and then we'll kind of start assessing the UFC kind of thing, you know. So there's a couple of little tests I'd like to lay out for him beforehand and see where he's at.
So the big brother's going to prevail, because he was saying he wants the belt right now, but he was telling us, I don't know whether he said it live or not, but he was like, Chris wants to protect me and have me have one more fight before. Well, I don't think maybe protect's not the right word, but I think, you know, get the rounds in.
The stuff for me is to test him, like different types of opponents, because he's like, the problem is with the belt and with the UFC, once you're there, that's it. There's no going back. You can't go back and go, oh shit, we should have worked on that. We should have tried a fight against a guy like that before we got here to see that was a problem. So, you know, like when I started fighting, this didn't exist. You just fucking fought anyone that was around. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just had a fight with whoever you could, and you know, you fought as often as you could, like. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, it's, you're trying to get the lads ready. You're trying to get the lads to a point where when they go in there, they've like fought every type of guy. They fought in every which way. They fought in different places and felt different experiences before they actually get into like something like the UFC or a Cage Warriors belt or something like that. You know?
Do you think we could be lined up with one of the biggest Irish domestic fights of all time if Rhys McKee makes his way back to the Cage Warriors promotion, which is more than likely, and Ian fights Rhys for the welterweight belt?
Yeah, my phone is just ringing constantly here. Just constantly. Yeah, you know,
because they're friendly as well.
Yeah, it could, like, Reese would have to have a fight or two before he got close to that. So Ian's kind of ahead of him in that way right now. But like, yeah, you know, you could see that down the line. We'd be open to that. Like I said, I'm not really one of those guys who goes around picking opponents for my guys. I'm just trying to pick the tests, the right tests. It's not like I'm trying to find easy fights. I'm trying to find the right test at the right time, you know?
Yeah, when you look at what's after happening there, like obviously Reece jumped in last minute, and then it obviously went viral around Ireland because it was like, right, fine, he's getting his chance, another person into the UFC from Ireland, and then like the way he lost to Chimaev, and then when he lost the second fight and he just had to get cut, does that make it like really like sort of slow things down, especially the way UFC Dublin was meant to come and everyone wanted Ian on the card? Does that make you really like stand back and be like, okay, maybe we should just really take our time here?
To be honest, I was like that all along.
Yeah,
they had nothing to do with it. I've seen this before. I've seen this many times. You know, I love Reece. I like the kid, and I hope he builds back up and he gets back there. You know, he's very skilled and he's a lot of ability, and he had tough fights while he was there too. You see how good that Moreno guy is when he fought Pedestin. You know,
and Chimaev.
Yeah, Chimaev's a nightmare, man.
Scary man.
Yeah, on short notice. You know, but yeah, you know, there is no rush. Ian's very young, you know what I mean? And all the guys here are very young. There's no rush. Everyone wants, like I was saying with the Conor thing, the next big thing, the next thing, you know? There's no big rush, but like when I kind of go, right, the kid's ready now, like that's when I'll make a move. And I like that. Like, Ian will challenge me on it, but he kind of knows when I say it, he knows I'm not doing it to fucking.
He knows who the boss is.
Yeah. He
well,
also knows that I'm doing it for him. Like, I'm not
exactly.
doing it for my. Like, it'd be better for my gym to just push him in straight away and get them in there and say I've a lad in the UFC. You know?
Yeah, and even look at Mason Jones over last week as well. The champ goes in. He lost his debut fight as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once you're in there, you're in there.
Steady. What I do see with Ian, like, compared to a lot of those guys, is if you watch like the way Ian fights, he has lots more options. So he can take the fight to the ground if he wants. He can stand and strike if he wants. A lot of the guys seem to go in with just a one-dimensional approach. Even though Mason's so well rounded, he seems to only look to strike on the feet. You know, I feel like by the time we have him there, you'll be looking at a whole new style of fighter from Ireland.
He does have that lovely bounce on the feet, you know what I mean? I know we're talking about with Conor, but he does, like, he's in, he's out. Was it his last fight he finished on the feet up against Cage? Was that his last one?
The one before. Yeah.
The one before that. I remember your man was 2-1, but like when I was watching that, like there was the head kick and the punches, and your man was throwing and he was slipping, and it was a thing of beauty. I was actually every time he fights, me and Baz ring each other and just go, Jesus, he's stepped up. Because he's always telling us he's next level, but he is.
Yeah. He's improving very fast at a very high rate, and you know there's lots of guys to push him here, which is a good thing. And then he's improving on other things that you don't really get seen in the cage. So he's strength and conditioning, you know, all this. He's getting stronger, he's getting bigger as a person. Like, so, it's gonna be an interesting few years. Like, in general, you know, I look around, I probably see about 4 guys from here that I can see, like about 4 or 5 guys that are probably going to be in the UFC.
In fairness, the first time we met him, he said he didn't even do strength and condition. Sorry, Basma.
Yeah, no, he didn't. No, I kind of forced this. There's so much forced on everyone, you know.
he just seems like, obviously from watching so many fighters and fights, he just seems to have something different. It's blatantly obvious to see. It's hard to put a pinpoint on it, but who knows what's going to really happen in Ireland? Like, you could see him one day headline at UFC Dublin as well.
Yeah, I think the confidence that he kind of holds outside the cage comes in with him. Like I was saying to you, like, I'd be quite a confident person. I'd walk into a room full of people and be quite happy to chat and talk. And but then, like, finally, I'm shaming myself. Now, the fact you even get to the point where you can walk out means you're confident enough. And I've done it in front of big arenas, but I am shaming myself because it's like, as a sport, there's probably nothing close to it. You're literally naked, putting yourself in what's considered, like, you know, if you're a guy, losing a fight to another guy since you're a kid is the worst thing that can happen. Do you know what I mean? So you're putting yourself in this situation.
Especially in your jocks.
Yeah, in your jocks. That's what I'm saying. You're standing there then after looking all like fucking shit with your head down and all. And so you're putting yourself on the line, but then the up is so big too, you know? So, yeah, it's like, it's interesting to see, and it's interesting for me to look at someone like Ian. So, like physically, like as in how we both look, is quite similar. We're kind of long, so a lot of my stuff can pass over to Ian quite easily and seamlessly. But then just that on that kind of side of things, how comfortable he is before the fight and the build of putting pressure on himself, talking about stuff, that's not really me, never really been one for the shy talk or any of that stuff.
And Chris, will we see the Housewives' choice in a cage at some stage in 2021? I know you were meant to do it. One more.
I wanted to go to Sweden.
Before the beard is fully grey, we're gonna have one more. Yeah?
And will it be with? I can't remember the name of the Swedish promotion. Will it be with that promotion or?
No, it won't. It'll more than likely be Cage Warriors. I'd like to have my last one. I've always said that I'd like to have my last one in the yellow gloves if I could. So
that'd be class.
That's class.
If you were fighting on one of the trilogy nights, would you have your guys fight first, or would you like to fight first?
No, if I was going to fight in a trilogy, I'd fight on a Thursday, have the lads fight on a Saturday, so the gap in between, so there's no kind of pressure.
Lovely. And then let's talk about the rest of the guys quickly. We won't hold you up much longer because you're a busy man. But
I am.
I know you have a good few people on Cage Legacy. I'm very much looking forward to see Tack fight as well, because I know him and Ian grew up basically doing it together. Right. But who else do you have on the card? And do you have anyone on Clan Wars?
Yeah, so I have Ryan Shelley and Taka will be on Clan Wars. And then I have Leon Hill. I hope I don't forget someone now. Omran Chauban is fighting John Redmond.
Is that a funny one? Because John did a bit in your gym. Although John's done a bit in every gym in Dublin, I think.
No, he never actually trained here. He never. So he's
did you fight John? You fought John, didn't you?
I fought John early on. Yeah. So we a bit of inside information, but and then I have a bunch of my amateurs fighting on the cards, on both of the cards as well. And I've so it's like exciting times. A bunch of boys coming through. You got like what I like at the moment is when I look around the gym, it's just waves. So I've got there's myself and James say are one wave. Then you have Ian and stuff like that are next wave. And then you have like Omran, Leon, Adam, Ryan, Taka, this another wave. Then behind them is like Ben Hughes and all those lads coming through. And then there's a load of lads about to have their amateur debut as well. So there's like wave after wave after wave after wave, and that's the way it has to stay. I'm always like talking to people about this, like I'm to get slapped in the head if I start taking my eye off the prize here and just start focusing in on one group, because you need to be bringing the 16-year-olds through so that they're the guys when Ian and that are doing their bit, and they're kind of only fighting once every like 6 months maybe, they're only doing 2 a year. These are your next group coming through that are going to go on to the UFC. What happens is you take your eye off that and you end up with just one group and nothing else going on,
Yeah. And how excited are you for like this whole wave coming through as well? And also, like, having done the Ultimate Fighter as well, would you suggest the lads to go for that or go on Dana White's Contender Series as well?
So like with James, I was actually pushing for both of those things. I don't think they're going to use international fighters for that Ultimate Fighter. I don't even know if they're doing it anymore. But I was pushing for James because they were talking about middleweights. And I'd be interested in James doing the Contender Series. I think James just needs an eyeball on him and he's gone. That's kind of where he's at now. He needs like just someone to like. He just needs someone's ear, and he should be gone at this point. So yeah, I'd be very interested in that. I'd like to get my foot in with a few more promotions, bigger promotions, because obviously Cage Warriors aren't going to have a Team KF night where they have every one of my lads on it. So I need there's a UAE Warriors, United Arab Emirates Warriors. There's a few shows in France and stuff. I'd like to get my foot in with over. That's my plan for this year. So like my big plan for this whole year, and kind of started putting all the stuff in place now, is just to kind of like, because that's where the team has gone now, is to really professionalize it. So like everything's kind of sorted, like start looking for some management for the lads, start looking for like shows they can fight on and all that kind of stuff, and make sure that everything is going smoothly. Yeah, no, definitely. And like I do think domestically, if these fights do go ahead as well, like it's going to be big for the country, especially.
It's so exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, so exciting. If they can get it done and we're sitting in some form of lockdown, whether even it's level 3 or something like that, I think it's massive, and I'll have a lot of eyeballs on it as well. We've actually been speaking about Cage Legacy and Clan Wars, and I think Clan Wars are saying they're basically doing 40 fights over 2 nights. I was like, Jesus, that's a lot. I've been at shows when there's 19, 20 fights on, and like it's a long night. So this is welcome to my life. I'm going to have to go over with the lads,
fly from London to Belfast then on the Sunday, so I can corner all the lads in Belfast. So I had to put all my guys on Clan Wars onto the Sunday card now, because I won't be there on Saturday, and I'm really like against not being there unless if there's any chance I can be there, I'll be there. You know.
Yeah, because it's on the same weekend as Cage Warriors as well. Yeah. Chris, like as we said, I think we said off air, like the whole basis of this show was to really like push Irish MMA and like be like buzzing for Conor's win as well. But like the stuff me and Ross do like behind the scenes, like trying to promote Irish MMA and stuff. It's like this year is so exciting. Like I have all the stuff written down in the diary here, like, and it's just like all these lads are getting huge. They're just getting huge audiences now. To like, it's a huge year for Irish MMA. I haven't seen something this big in a long time.
Yeah, it's exciting. A lot of guys seem to be turning pro. I think guys ended up with the year off basically.
Yeah,
and they built it. So I was planning maybe on the likes of Adam, Taka, Ryan to have a fight around like the summer and then look at going pro around September, and then they didn't get the fight at all, but the improvements have still been made, you know, so there's no difference. It's the exact same situation for us. So kind of have a process that I do with the lads. The same. Ian was kind of my first, well, James was my first one through, but Ian was my first one from scratch here, and like kind of up to like 6 fights, see how they've done at amateur, moved them on to pro, you know, this kind of thing. That's usually the way I work, and that's what I've done with this group of lads as well. And I kind of keep an eye on their level. Like they have to have a K1 fight, they have to get a blue belt in jiu-jitsu or win a local competition, all this kind of stuff, and everyone's kind of ticked the boxes, so we're ready to go.
Yeah. Chris, just like a couple of more questions for me. How much do you love coaching compared to actually getting in the cage yourself?
Well, like I think I love the buzz of fighting. Until for me, the buzz of fighting, like the enjoyable part is all the training coming up to it. The night's a little bit of a weird one. So I get the same kind of feelings that I get from myself with the lads, but I'm not getting punched in the face, so that's deadly. But I think I've always been a person. I think a lot of people like this. I've always enjoyed giving presents more than receiving presents. You know, the same approach. I think I get more out of watching lads get ahead than doing it myself. I do think my fighting and my career and everything I did, I loved it, and I love when it like the last one I do. But I think like I was always going to end up in this job. I was kind of doing it while I was fighting. I was coaching loads of the lads. I was coaching Paddy for UFC fights. I was coaching Cottle for UFC fights. You know, this kind of stuff. So, so yeah, I've always been fulfilling this role.
No, you're doing a brilliant job. And just last question for me as well. How important has Tom King been to the rise of Team KF as well, and for you in particular?
Yeah, so like a good, like on a lot of different levels. Obviously, you have the skill acquisition the lads get from Tom. Like, so he's such a phenomenal grappler, and a straight shooter with people. So you know, calls bullshit when he sees it, always has. Like even with me. So there's that side of him that's phenomenal. The other side is that like as a business partner, I get to bounce stuff off Tom, and he's very honest with me about it. You know, and generally like we kind of have the same outlook on things. So we tend to agree, but like I know if he isn't agreeing with me on something, maybe I'm wrong. And he's one of the few people I'll go, I'll take that and maybe change my opinion, you know.
That's like myself and you, Ross, isn't it?
Yeah. So sometimes I throw something out and Baz will be like, "That's a fucking shy idea, man." I'm like, all right, fair enough. And then vice versa as well. You know what I mean? We're getting these you know, the mask people wear, we're getting like a sleeve mask. That you
neck scarf.
Yeah. And we're getting them made with the Energized logo. We'll send one out to you, Chris, right?
Oh, yeah, deadly. I love
the shop, right? Yeah. And Baz like, we should get camo ones, right? And I told him, I was like, oh, they sort of look cool, but like, you know, just plain black suits everyone, you know?
Yeah. That could be the second. Yeah, that could be the second launch.
Yeah. I think it's just, for me, like, it's nice to have someone like that around. Tom's kind of like, I get excitable as well. So Tom's kind of the, like, I tend to, people in my life. Yeah, he keeps me level. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'll blow up and just be like, get him out of here now. He's gone. He's off the team. Tom, like, can't be boots there, Chris. You know what I mean? Like, don't be talking like that. So I think, I think he kind of levels me out. My missus is kind of similar as well. So it kind of works out perfectly. You know?
That's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I think that sort of wraps it up. One last thing is, me and Barry were talking about Cage Legacy, and we think Leon Hill versus Palahan will be the people's main event come fight night. I think that's very exciting. That
it is. I think I think people haven't seen what Leon's capable of yet. I think people are going to be a little bit amazed when they see, because like obviously the last fight's on like 3 days notice. It's very difficult to kind of see what he's capable of. You see a guy go 3 rounds on 3 days notice after a massive weight cut. So I think people are going to be very impressed when they see what Leon's about now. And because I see him spar with the high level pros out of this gym, so I know ability level, like, you know, he's on a different level, I think, in that fight. But sure, fighting's fine, isn't it? We gotta wait and find.
Exactly. Well, Ross, anything else to say before we wrap it up?
No, guys, just if you have enjoyed this video with the Housewife's Choice, Chris Fields, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
Stay energized.
Stay energized, baby.